Hey guys, welcome to the video. I would ask if you like the video, I hope you do, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to me. But let's get right into it. We're going back into the field. We're in this clear-cut area. This is a permission where the property is just huge. It's got a lot of different variations on this property. All of it was involved in a huge Civil War battle. So on the same property, we've got cornfields, we've got areas that have been worked during and after the Civil War up to this date that are, it's just farm field. But this area that we're going into is freshly clear cut of all the trees. So I am the first one to be able to go in there and metal detect. You see that there are targets everywhere. So let's get back to it. I'm using my GPS tracker so that I can look down at it at the end of the day or even the middle of the day and kind of see where I've walked and where I have not. So you think you've covered a lot of ground until you look at that GPS and you realize, you're just wandering around. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to hit some areas that I have not walked through yet. And let's just get to the video and go find some relics. All right. Iron signal. As I enter in, talked about it before, as I enter into this clear-cut area, I've got to walk through and pass the area that they moved a lot of branches and it almost looks like they tried tossing branches and parts of trees into what probably was a really muddy area. So when I'm digging in it, I've got layers that are just kind of branches and things that aren't old. So as I'm getting into this area, I've got to, I can dig a target here or there, but I need to make sure I'm getting past this area. And it also seems this is the only area in this entire clear-cut field that I found aluminum. So it's almost like soda cans. So it's almost like this was where the equipment was. This is where maybe the workers took a break. Is this going to be a nail? Yep. It's a nail. So, all right, so let's get a little bit deeper into this area where we found relics. I was just wondering how many relics are hidden. Like you've got these big piles of branches that are scattered around this whole area, and just big, again, piles of branches. So I'm just curious. Think about the relics that are hidden under all of these piles. So I come over here, kind of to detect around this pile. And that's a 45. I mean, that could be lead, but that could also be something else, like a button or something like that. All right, where are you? Got it in my hand. Okay. All right. It's a bullet. Kind of a weird, I'd say not typical bullet range. It's usually in the low 50s. It could be high 40s, but to be that, around a 41. Let's see. Definitely not a dropped bullet. Trying to get a look at the base to see what it is. All right, that's weird. So there's no damage. Maybe a little, I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe there's a little damage to the tip of it. But the bottom, you can see how the bottom was just folded over. Almost like someone did that on purpose, like messing around and hitting the bottom of a lead bullet and folded the thing over the base. Who knows? I'm kind of venturing off into a spot in this field that I really haven't dug a ton. So I'm just, man, still down there. Okay, throw this dirt back in there. It's right here in this. It's right there. Right there out of this dirt clod. Nice, pretty bullet. It's a good sized bullet too. Wonder how many rings it has. I don't know. What I'm going to do, I don't know if it's... I think it's a 3-ringer. Seems to be a real pretty bullet. It's dropped. I'm not going to brush it anymore out here in the field. I'm just going to wash it off at home. Yeah, again, these things you just rinse under the water, and just with your thumb that you can get this crud off, and they're white. So I just want to be careful with it. It looks like a real pretty bullet, and it may come out good, or I can see those rings. The type of rings matter too. There's rings that come out and, you know, they protrude out at an angle, or they come out as a square. You know, the rings, if you look at them, and that all has to do with what type of bullet this is. When you look it up in the bullet book, you want to see not only how many rings, what the base looks like, but what are the shape of the rings. So those all go into the size, the diameter, the length, everything, and actually identifying the bullet. There are just an absolute ton of Civil War bullets. So, all right, we'll keep looking. All right, in this area right here, they've just got all the trees kind of lined up, like the branches piled on top, so that they can drive over the mud. And I found this in it. I got a signal and I started going down, but I'm not even... No, I guess it was in the mud, but there was just a ton of these branches and things laid over it. And it might be a Enfield, a Pritchett bullet. It's long. Yeah, and it definitely struck something. But yeah, it's long. It shouldn't have any rings on it. Should be slick. But we'll clean it up at home. We'll keep going now. I've got to turn around and walk back towards my truck, and that's going to take a while, and who knows what I'm going to find on the way. All right, so this signal's kind of cleaned up a little bit. I had to move a bunch of logs and brush out of the way. Showing deep. It's in the bullet range in the 50s, but it's kind of going high, like up to 63. So the bullets usually don't go that high. But then again, you know, it's a signal can change if it's, yeah, still like 57 up to 60s. So let's see. Try to dig around and under it. There it is. All right. Got a bullet. Let's see what we got. It's definitely impacted. Looks pretty smashed up. Try to look at the base of it. Like like a mushroomed mini ball, like a 3-ringer. Let's see what the base is. Wait a minute. Does that have a solid base? You know what that looks like? I don't even have. Oh my gosh. If this is what I think it is, this doesn't have rings on it. Oh my gosh. That's not a solid base. I think that might be a wood plug. Some of these bullets actually had a wooden plug in the base of them. That's what that looks like, but for that wood, if that's what it is, and that wood is there after 160 years, that's crazy. I have never found one with a wood plug. Now, I found a Pritchett, an Enfield bullet, Confederate, that would have had a wood plug in the base of it, but I found a couple of those. I'm trying to think. I think I may have found some right here. Oh my gosh, I think that's what it is. I'm gonna have to clean it up when I get home and figure that out, but I'm excited. If that's what that is, that's just cool. That is just cool. Hey, this bullet right here has got a wood plug in the back of it. This is an Enfield, or what's called a Pritchett. They look like this normally. They're much longer. They look thin to me, but it's a longer stretched out bullet. In 1852, over in England, they commissioned a study to try to come up with the perfect bullet. They tried all kinds of different designs, and the Pritchett, which is the last name of one of the guys that was involved in the study, this is what they ultimately came up with. Now, this bullet, they used a boxwood plug in the back of it. In February of 1864, they stopped using the wood plug and they replaced it with a clay plug. A lot of the bullets that were manufactured didn't have a plug at all. They were just had this kind of cone cavity in the back of them. The cool thing with this is not only does it, the fact that it's 160 years after the Civil War, this thing has been buried. Wood does not last that long. Buried deep in the soil, this stuff disintegrates. These plugs would just fly out when they were fired or just disintegrate themselves. But 160 years later, to find this with a perfect wooden plug in the back, to me, is amazing. It's an awesome relic. Let's go out and see if there's any more of them out here.